still remember my wedding day like a bad dream, wrapped in a beautiful dress. On his side of the hall, every chair was full. His relatives, his friends, his parents' business partners. Loud laughter, geel, designer suits, cameras everywhere. On my side, empty chairs. No parents, no cousins, no bride's people dancing in with me. Just the church workers trying to fill the space so the pictures wouldn't look too depressing. They didn't know I walked in alone by choice. They looked at me and decided the story for themselves. Poor orphan girl, village background, desperate to marry into money. They were wrong, but I let them believe it. Because sometimes you learn more from what people think you are than from what they say to your face. From the first week after the wedding, I knew I was not a wife in that house. I was the maid. I woke up before everyone. I cleaned the entire duplex. I cooked for his parents, his younger brother, his sister, plus whatever guests dropped by unannounced. They would sit in the living room, legs crossed, scrolling on their phones while I washed their clothes, and even their underwear. His mother would pass me, sniff loudly, and say, "This is what happens when you marry a girl nobody wanted. At least she can be useful as a house girl." Whenever she called me village girl, his sister would burst out laughing. My husband, he would say, "Babe, just ignore them. They'll come around." But they never came around. Every insult sank into my skin and burned. But I stayed quiet because they still didn't know my secret. At night, when I finally crawled into bed, I would take out my phone and look at a single unsent message. "Dad, I'm tired. Please come and get me." My father, the man whose name could shake half the city, the man whose companies their big men chase contracts from, the man they think they only see on TV. They didn't know I was his daughter because my father didn't approve of my marriage. And I was stubborn enough to marry for love instead of power. So I agreed to disappear from his world, at least for a while. I thought love would be enough to protect me in my husband's house. I was wrong. When his grandfather's 75th birthday came, the entire family behaved as if they were hosting a state event. For weeks, my mother-in-law repeated the same sentence. "Please, I'm begging you, don't embarrass us that day. Dress decently. If you don't have anything good, wear the plain gown you wore to church last month. Don't come and show us village fashion." I looked at her and said, "Yes, Ma, I'll do my best." I wore my simplest dress, not because of her, because I knew what I was planning to give Grandpa, and I didn't want it to look like I was rubbing anything in their faces. I was the first to arrive at the hotel. My husband went ahead to help with arrangements. When I walked into the private room, his sister looked at me from head to toe and smirked. "Wow, you didn't even try. You know this is a birthday, not a wakekeeping, right?" I smiled. "Good afternoon." The gifts table was already full of shiny boxes, big brands, logos facing forward for the pictures, of course. I quietly placed my small plain box in a corner. Inside that box was a single antique piece. A family heirloom my father gave me long before all this. Something that meant history and respect, not just money. The party started. Cameras flashed. Toasts went up. Then it was time for gifts. Grandpa opened bags of cash, shoes, suits, a gold-plated cane. Everyone clapped and shouted. Finally, my mother-in-law deliberately pointed at the smallest box. "Daddy, that one is from your granddaughter-in-law, our village girl. She said she prepared something special for you." The whole room turned to look at me. I stood up slowly, smiling, heart pounding. Grandpa opened the box. Inside was a cheap plastic watch. Not the bracelet I put there, a watch I had never seen in my life. Silence, then a loud gasp from one of the aunties. "Huh, giving watch at old man's birthday? Do you want him to die? You want to count his remaining days?" Voices erupted around the table. "Is she trying to curse him? Is this a joke? Even poor people have sense." My mother-in-law slammed her hand on the table. "What kind of useless girl did you bring into this family, Alan? First, she comes here looking like she's going for evening practicals in secondary school. Now she's giving Grandpa a watch on his 75th. Are you mad?" I turned to my husband. "Alan, I didn't put that watch there. You know I—" "Enough," his mother snapped. "Look at what you've done. On his birthday of all days." She turned to Grandpa, lips trembling with fake emotion. "Daddy, it's not our fault. It's this girl you insisted he should marry. No background, no home training. We warned you." I felt my throat close. My father's bracelet was gone. Swapped. I knew exactly what that meant. Someone in this family had gone into my room, found the gift, opened it, and replaced it with trash. Deliberately. To humiliate me. And it worked. Grandpa finally raised his hand for silence. Enough. Family shame should not be broadcast. We'll talk about this after the party. My sister-in-law hissed. "No, Daddy, we must talk about it now. This girl has been misbehaving since, treating my brother like a fool, doing as she likes. Today she insulted you in public. She's not worthy of this family." Her voice dropped an octave. "I say we end this marriage. Today." She turned to me. "You. Pack your things. After this party, you're going back to whatever village you crawled out from." People murmured. No one objected. Alan said nothing. I looked at him, still waiting for at least one sentence. "This is too much. Don't talk to my wife like that." It never came. In that moment, I realized, in this house, it was me against all of them, and my husband was too weak to stand beside me. I swallowed my pride, wiped my tears, took a deep breath, and did something I never wanted to do. I called my father, not with my phone, with their choices. "Grandpa," I said softly, "may I show you the real gift I bought?" My mother-in-law scoffed. "What real gift? We all saw what you—" There was a knock at the door. The hotel butler wheeled in a secure case with gloved hands. "Sir, your delivery." My sister-in-law frowned. "What's this one again?" The butler opened the case. Inside was the exact antique piece I had originally boxed. Experts in that room knew what it was instantly. You could see it in their eyes. One of Grandpa's old friends whispered, "There's only one original like this in the country. How did it get here?" My mother-in-law's face twitched. This is fake. My daughter already bought the original for father. Hers is the real one. I smiled sadly. There's a tiny flaw near the base, I said. You can Google it. The original has it. The fakes don't. They checked. The one I brought had the flaw. The one my sister-in-law had given earlier did not. Grandpa went quiet. The room went quiet. For about 3 seconds, I thought this would be the turning point, that someone would finally apologize. Instead, my sister-in-law folded her arms. So what? She snapped. Even if you managed to steal one original from somewhere, it doesn't change your background. You're still a nobody. You're still not worthy of this family. She turned to her brother. Alan, you see? She's dangerous, manipulative. Now she's doing show-off in front of Grandpa. If she had money, why did she come into this house with no relatives? Why did no one come for your wedding? Every word hit like a stone. She was right about one thing. No one came. Because my father refused to attend. He refused to bless a marriage he believed would break me. And as I stood there, surrounded by people who hated me, I realized something. He had been right. That night he called me, not the other way around. Are you done playing poor? He asked. His voice was calm, controlled. Dad, no explanations, he said. You chose love over protection. I respected that. But when your in-laws start switching gifts and cursing you in public, that's when you stop being my stubborn little girl and become my problem again. I laughed through my tears. Dad, if you come here in person, they will just cling to you and pretend nothing happened. I'm not coming, he replied. Not yet, but remember this. Every hospital they enter, every bank they beg, every contract they chase, those places answer to someone. When you're tired, come and stand behind your real name. I thought things couldn't get worse. Then his younger brother's kidneys failed. The day they called us to the hospital, my mother-in-law's eyes were red and swollen. Alan, she cried, your brother is dying. His kidneys are gone. The doctors say a family member is the best chance. You and him share the same blood. Donate one kidney, please. We only need one. Alan went silent. His father sighed dramatically. You're the older one, he said. You're stronger. You've always been the sacrificial child. Just do it for the family. I watched my husband struggle. I understood his fear. A kidney is not hair or blood. Once it's gone, it's gone. He turned to me later in the corridor. Babe, what do you think? He asked quietly. In that moment, I realized something terrifying. They would not hesitate to sacrifice him too, and if he hesitated, they would come for me. I was still processing all this when I felt hands grab my arms from behind. Before I could scream, they had tied my wrists to the sides of a gurney. What are you doing? I shouted. His aunt leaned over me. You're younger, you're healthier, you don't even have children yet. Your kidney will match just fine. Don't worry, we'll compensate you. Compensate for my organ. My mother-in-law wiped fake tears. If you really love this family, you'll do it. You already cursed Grandpa with that watch. Do you want his grandson to die too? Alan appeared at the door, eyes wide. Mom, this is too much. Too much? She snapped. For your own brother? You should be thanking her. He hesitated. Just for a second, but I saw it. That tiny flicker of calculation. If she does it, I won't have to. Something in me snapped clean in two. I stopped begging. I went quiet. And that's when security burst into the corridor. "Remove those restraints now," the head of security barked. "Who authorized this?" My father hadn't come in person. He didn't need to. The hospital was part of his group. They untied me. The doctor refused to touch me without written, willing consent. Within 24 hours, a compatible kidney appeared from another city. A legal one, paid for and transported quietly by the same man my in-laws believed. I didn't have my father. After that day, I saw my husband's family clearly, not as my people, as what they really were. Users. They saw my body as a spare parts store. They saw my pain as background noise, and I decided it was time to stop pretending. The final straw broke at a restaurant a few weeks later. We ran into some of Alan's old classmates. One of them had just landed a big contract with a certain massive conglomerate in the city. My father's. They didn't know that, of course. They laughed, ordered the most expensive things on the menu, and made jokes about people who marry village girls just to have live-in maids. I sat there quietly listening. When the bill came, everybody suddenly became very interested in their phones. The waiter cleared his throat and said the amount. It could buy a small car. Alan went pale. I didn't bring that much. His friend laughed and slapped him on the back. Don't worry, your wife can wash plates in the kitchen for a few months to pay it off. Something in me went very, very calm. I opened my handbag, took out a card I had never used in that house. Black, unbranded, deadly quiet. I'll pay, I said softly. Everyone stared. The waiter looked doubtful. Madame, are you sure? Yep, I replied, and I have one condition. They watched me smirking. If this card goes through, I said, none of you will ever call me village girl or maid again. Not to my face, not behind my back, because then you'll know exactly whose maid you've been insulting. I handed him the card. The entire table leaned forward. My mother-in-law whispered, "She's embarrassing us again. Watch, it will decline." It didn't. Approved. Instantly. The restaurant manager rushed over, suddenly respectful. "Ma, you should have told us. Next time, please call ahead. We'll prepare the private room for you." Alan's classmates went silent. My mother-in-law's mouth opened and closed like a fish. I stood up, picked up my bag, looked at my husband. "You wanted an ordinary life with a simple girl," I said quietly. "You got it. You also got my humiliation, my tears, my organ almost on that table in the hospital." I turned to his mother. "You wanted a maid. You married an heiress." That night, I packed my things. No shouting, no drama. I walked out of that house before sunrise. I didn't destroy them. Not immediately. I just went home. To my real home. My father hugged me without words. And now, whenever they walk into a bank and find a loan rejected, whenever a contract mysteriously goes to a competitor. Whenever they realize the hospital that saved their golden son was funded by the same man whose daughter they called village trash, they will slowly understand their maid was never the poor one. They were, in every way that actually matters.